Yo, 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 Salaam nerds! It's your boy Neves, aka Watch with Neves, and I'm here with my co-host Jazz and a very special guest. Want to introduce him, Jazz?
If you haven't tuned in to our first episode, let me introduce our guest. His name is Sajib. For those who don't know, he also has a different name on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, everywhere. His name is JaiWolf. Sajib, please take it away, man. I'm just a big fan. I'm just fanboying here now.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Oh, he's so casual. Oh, what's up, Vic?
No big deal. No big deal. So what we're going to do is, if you have not caught our nerd culture episode, we are going to go into our Bachelor episode. And our Bachelor episode is going to be quite fun because none of these guys watch The Bachelor. So you're going to see me explain to these guys what's happening on The Bachelor. And without context, let's see how much hilarity ensues. Are you guys ready?
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So where did we leave off last? Last time we left off is...
okay, there were three girls.
This girl named... There was Susie, Gabby, and Rachel, right? So basically this guy, his name is Clayton. What he does is, in the reality show, they have something called a fantasy suite. So the fantasy suite is where the girl and the guy can spend some time together off camera. A lot of the time, that time is used to...
Bone.
Yeah, bone. So this guy...
Let's just cut to it. Let's not even...
Let's just cut to it.
You tried to do a euphemism there. You tried to make it all friendly. No, let's just cut right to it.
That's what they do, right? But what matters is, who does this guy like the most? So apparently this girl, Susie, said, hey, if you slept with other people on the show, I don't think I can get past that. But here's the problem. She said that after he already slept with the other two girls.
Is there... Okay, so I have a question. So I actually saw the Matt James season last year because it was pre-vaccines, and I was in Austin, and my friend's girlfriend and her friend, we would just all watch it together, right? Okay. So I have a question. Is this a guy season? This is a guy season, right? The Bachelor.
It's not... The Bachelor is a guy season. The Bachelorette is a girl season.
Okay, so it's a guy, and there's three girls left. Are they the remaining ones?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yep,
so this is
girls.
Deep into the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the last two episodes.
Got it. Yeah, that premise is so crazy, of the whole her being upset that if he slept with them or didn't sleep with them, whatever. Isn't that the point of the show? For someone who doesn't watch the show, I think it's so crazy that on national primetime TV that there is a guy who gets to date 10, 20 girls. Statistically, he probably will sleep with minimum five of them.
Statistically.
No, I don't watch this show. I just think it's so weird. And then sometimes a lot of these contestants come as very prim and religious. I'm looking for
yes.
a Christian kind of spouse or whatever. So it's so, I don't know, it's so weird. Now this girl, for her to expect that is you should have known. It's The Bachelor.
You should have
known.
And here's the thing, right? If he said that he liked her the most, if you liked her the most, then why would you put her at the end? Man wanted to sleep with two girls first and then sleep with his favorite.
Hey, man.
It's so weird.
Hey.
What's funny about this, and this kind of relates to Love is Blind, is that, as someone who doesn't watch a lot of reality TV and in the pandemic started to kind of dip his toes into the water, I watched a little bit of Love Island, a little bit of Too Hot to Handle, and a little bit of Love is Blind. What I find most interesting about these shows is that a lot of them are basically leveraging their appearances for sponsorships to become influencers,
yes,
right?
Yes,
for sure.
Yes, followers.
And with Love is Blind was interesting because they didn't really cast the stereotypical objectively hot contestants. They kind of they casted people who would look decent on TV, but they weren't Love Island hot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But what was interesting is that with Shake, what I thought was really interesting, and I don't condone anything that comes out of his mouth, but the one thing that he said that I thought was interesting was he got really meta in the finale, and he talked a lot about why they were on the show and how it was silly to expect marriage out of the show, and I agree with that, because if you're going on a show like The Bachelor or a show like Love is Blind and you're actually expecting love, there is something wrong with you. Like,
yeah,
and that's a spicy take. I know that, like, but what I respected him the most was for him saying that everything else obviously trash. I don't like him. Blah blah blah.
Hey, man, a broken clock is right
twice a day. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the meta-ness. It almost was like he was like Truman showing the reality part.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I watch these shows and I'm like, I want them to like look at the camera by accident. I want them to like talk about the audience. Like I want to see them break the rules and the structure of the show, you know? So with The Bachelor, like even with Matt James, was really interesting because he had a totally different persona on TikTok and Instagram than he did on the show.
Yes.
On the show, he was like this robotic, weird, scripted guy. And then like he seemed way more interesting and cool outside of that. So that to me is so weird and like, I don't know.
Yeah. These guys get put through the machine, right?
Yeah.
And they get really manipulated. And here's the thing, right? In my opinion, there's a good chance that he liked that girl first, right?
Yeah.
And these producers are so savage.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them that if they manipulated and convinced them to be like, hey, this girl would never be okay with you picking her unless you got to fully explore the relationship.
Yeah.
And him thinking fully explore means, oh, she might want me to bang all these other girls. Like that's how he starts to think. That's how they manipulate these guys.
It's weird because you describing that is interesting because it's something I think about a lot. And this relates to all this like Kim Kanye stuff that's happening right now. I'm sort of at this point in my life where I just don't trust a lot of the things I see, especially someone who comes from the entertainment world. And I see some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. I'm not in Hollywood, but I feel like just the way the media tries to condition us, you know, they're really trying to like numb our brains, numb our minds, entertain us. Right. And I feel like with this Kim Kanye stuff, I feel like it's just this elaborate real life soap that we're watching, you know, that's not even with cameras. It's through social media. It's like orchestrated by their PR people, because at the end of the day, any negative press still gets all of them money in their pockets. The more arguments there are in your comments, the more like traction you get. This is something I've been testing on TikTok, not to veer totally off the rails, but it's related. I promise. I mentioned earlier in the previous episode that I'm using TikTok is where to just kind of experiment. I kind of sometimes shit post on there. I post random things from my camera roll, like my cat and like random stuff I go to. And I saw Tame Impala the other day, and Tame Impala has a song that Rihanna covered on her album Anti from 2016. And so I made this joke, which is a joke created by this guy Jabuki on Twitter. You guys might know about him. The joke is that Rihanna actually wrote the song and Tame Impala covered it, right? It's like, you know, it's to enrage Tame Impala fans. So I made that joke on TikTok. I was like, oh, it's so crazy that Tame Impala covered this Rihanna song, right? And what it did was, like, you could go on my TikTok and check it out. If you go into the comments, there's fans who are like, what are you talking about? Tame Impala wrote this song first. They came out on their 2015 album, you know? And like, but what it did was it only engaged the algorithm further and made the video do, relative to me, decently well. So I've been thinking about a lot how, like, you know, you have these like manufactured narratives that like are just really there for us to kind of pay attention and not really pay attention to anything else happening in the world. And even with like The Bachelor and how they're like hyper scripted and all that, it's like that to me is the most fascinating thing, that like there are these puppet masters kind of like not to sound super conspiracy or anything like that, but like it's just something I've been thinking a lot about you know, as I've gotten older. True. You know,
I've noticed, like, if I make a video and everything is correct, but one thing is not correct, and like say like I pronounce something different or I say the wrong word, I get so many comments, people trying to correct me.
That's a real thing.
And then and it goes crazy. It goes viral.
That's a real thing. I was
like, I should be incorrect more often. Like, it's like it works.
It's so true, though. It's something. Oh man, I think about this a lot. Like, there is kind of a way to game the algorithm like that. But speaking of things that are not real, this is also related to the previous episode. Tom Holland, when he fakes, like when he spoils something by accident. None of that was real. There's no way he's that stupid. I think maybe
They're playing into it.
Whatever the absolute first one was, I don't even remember what it was. But when he opened the poster to reveal the Infinity War title poster, clearly,
right.
and then so
it's a gag.
It's a gag, yeah.
That has to be. That's fair.
But it's so annoying because then they leaned into it and they made it into a branding personality. Like, oh my God, Tom Holland, we can't tell him anything. He can't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
And when people buy into that, it's so fascinating to me. That
that's so
that
funny.
they were able to,
I'll be honest, I did that recently where this person on TikTok, Rainful, she pronounced Desi Desi, and I was like, and I just flamed shit at her. Oh, wait, no. So, hey, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry.
Yes, apologize.
Yeah.
All right, now speaking of apologies, let's go back to The Bachelor.
Amazing transition.
So this guy, Clayton, now he has to go and to tell the other two women that he is in love with all three of them and he slept with both of them. So he lines them up and tells them, I'm in love with Susie and I'm in love with you two. And by the way, I slept with you two and I didn't sleep with Susie and she left. And these girls, they just start bawling and crying because it's one thing to know the guy did it, but another thing to be like, oh, that girl was probably his first choice and she left, and now he told us he slept with both of us and he told us he is in love with both of us. And they're in a museum, and Jay, you would love this because the acoustics were amazing because you can hear the crying and the sobbing throughout the entire thing. So the guy Clayton is having a conversation with the host of the show and they're talking about, oh, how are you feeling? And in the background, all you hear is women sobbing. Oh. It's so hysterical.
Oh no. See, was
that intentional?
I think the acoustics were just really great in that place.
Just happened to be there.
That's the kind of thing that I want to know if they are actually upset or if this is scripted upset. You know what I'm saying?
No, they were actually upset, but the crying could have been edited in later. They probably recorded her crying and then put it in pre-production and made it look like the crying was louder, or maybe it was happening during a conversation. Right. So it's funny that he did that. Yeah. But then one of the girl decides to leave, and then he asks her, he kind of begs her and tells her, please stay, please give us another chance. And then when this girl decides to leave, he asked the first girl if she would stay, and she said yes. So she's like, okay, she'll stay. And she's still crying, she's still upset. Second girl comes and she says no, and she leaves, and the guy chases her. The girl, her eyes were bugged out because she realized she just won by default. She's the only girl left.
Oh, so he didn't choose her.
He didn't choose her. The first two girls left, and she's there with the rose going, oh my God, did I just win? Did I just get her engaged? Yeah. And she was freaking out.
Oh, so is this the finale?
This is the finale.
Oh shit, okay, wow.
So she's freaking out. She's on the floor crying, and she's like, "This is not you don't want that to be your proposal moment. You don't want the fact that two other girls didn't want it,
and you got proposed to by default."
It was so her eyes when she realized that was so they bugged out. It was so funny, but then somehow he convinces the other girl back. So the girl comes back. So now they're both back.
Oh,
and they both decide
plot twist.
They both plot twist. They both there's going to be even a bigger plot twist coming up. So they both decide to stay, and then he takes them to meet his parents. So he introduces the parents. These girls are heartbroken because he just broke their hearts. Now they got to go back and talk to his parents and act like they love him, right? And they have all these feelings for him. So they go back and they meet his parents, and then after he meets both of their parents, this motherfucker, he goes, you know what? I still can't stop thinking about Susie. The third girl who left.
Oh, Jesus.
So now this guy goes to find her because she's still in Iceland. They're in Iceland, and she's quarantining in a hotel. And he's the producer goes up to her and he goes he wants to talk to you. And he was like, are you okay with talking to him? And he goes okay, she's like, yeah. So he goes and he talks to her and he goes I'm sorry about what happened, this and that. All while these other two girls are still waiting for him to pick him. They think this third girl left. So now he's trying to convince this third girl who already left to come back. So so basically It's so weird. So then she decides, like, okay, I'll think about it and I'll do it. So
I'll get back to you in 3 to 5 business days.
Yeah, she basically said, like, okay, I'll get back to you, right? But then this motherfucker, oh my god, this is what he does. Again, instead of telling them separately, he sits both of them down in the room at the same time and and proceeds to break up with both of them at the same time.
Oh man.
He says, oh no, but before he does this, they show a video of him in a church alone by himself with an entire choir singing to him as he like contemplates what he's going to do. It's like the weirdest scene.
The choir is singing to him.
He's the only one in the church. It's just him in the church.
He's having a not Tom Hardy. What's his name? Eddie Brock moment.
Yes, like, he's having an Eddie Brock
Spider-Man 3.
I was like, if he went to a mosque instead of a church, it would be better because then he could just marry all 4 and call it a day. Like,
Top 4, you all win.
Wait, so did Susie come back then?
So this is what happened. So he doesn't know Susie's going to come back, but he decides to break up with these 2 women anyway. Yeah. And they're like, I was going to leave. You brought me back to break up with me again.
Oh, no.
And she was like, when it was my choice to leave, you didn't let me do it. Now that it's your choice that I get to leave,
yeah.
and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Can I have a hug? And like, can I walk you out? She goes, no. And she tells him no.
That literally happens on, not The Office, but that happens in like a show where like someone brings someone back, but then they break up with them anyway. It's like either Office, Parks, or like How I Met Your Mother. It's like a very specific scene.
It sounds like a How I Met Your Mother thing. Yeah. I remember in How I Met Your Mother, Ted breaks up with the girl on her birthday, and then he's like, oh, I'm a better person now. And then he goes and dates her again the second time, and he breaks up with her again.
That's what it was.
On her birthday.
That's what it was. Yeah. So,
Victoria?
Yes. Oh.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. So I used to...
I feel like her name's Victoria.
That show aged so badly, by the way.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a horrible show now.
It's so bad. I used to love it in high school and college, and I mean, the later seasons are pretty trash. I never really watched the last 2. I watched the finale because it's the finale, but I tried watching again a few years ago, and I was like, I don't remember the show being this bad.
It's so cringe when you go back and look at it.
It's really cringe. Yeah. And then now
the name is Natalie, by the way.
Natalie, okay.
And
Robin Scherbatsky is now in S.H.I.E.L.D., you know?
In S.H.I.E.L.D.,
Oh, yes. How I Met Your Mother became super secret agent. You know, this is the normal course of whatever goes on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
All right. So when these girls are crying, the funniest thing is they don't hand them tissues for them crying. They hand them like McDonald's napkins. They're like super brown, super hard, and they're like trying to wipe their tears without messing up their mascara with like these McDonald napkins. Like they're so fun. they're like paper towels like you get in schools.
There's no way that's not scripted. That has to be somebody saying, hey, you know, be funny. Let's give them brown napkins from McDonald's or Taco Bell. Like,
yeah.
Actually, it probably is Taco Bell. McDonald's has the nice ones. They're the white ones, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know.
The brown ones are from Taco Bell. I'm pretty sure it's Taco Bell now.
So Gabby is upset, and then she leaves. She's furious. And then he talks to Rachel. This poor girl, she's still in love with him. She's still saying, like, I want to fight for us. You never fought for us. I'll never stop fighting for us. Like, she's, like, broken-hearted. Like, poor girl. And she's like, are you really going to do this? Are you really putting me in the car right now? Like, oh, my God. She was heartbroken. She was, like, barely begging him to change his mind or something. And he's, like, didn't even cry. He had stone-cold face. And he's like, nope, I'm about to get my hot girl. You guys can leave. Like, it was
Susie's
wild.
Hot. Good to know.
Yeah, Susie's definitely hot. And, like, they're all hot. But, like, it was weird, man. It was weird. And I felt so bad. And then this guy sent a letter to Susie. The other 2 girls left. Susie's the only one left. And then Susie comes to the proposal room where he's got, like, his ring and everything ready. And he proposes to her. And Susie says, I like you, and you know I respect what you said to me and all the things that you meant, and the moments were genuine. but I can't do it. So she doesn't accept the proposal.
God. So we got a bachelor who didn't end up with anybody this year.
So the bachelor didn't end up with anybody,
okay.
And then so basically like it's weird. And then he goes on the show, which is called After the Final Rose. So he goes on After the Final Rose, where they talk about like what he did, and then the other girls confront him. And the funny thing is after like as you're watching the show, there's like a little square that pops up, and you can see their family's reaction to them being heartbroken. Like as the guy's breaking up with them, you can see their like dad's face, you can see their mom's face, you can see their grandfather's face.
Right.
It's so like manipulated. Like you want to hate him so much, which like you kind of should, but it's wild.
I do hate him. Clayton's an idiot.
Yeah,
100%.
And then they brought him out, and he like apologizes to these girls, and they're kind of just like, I don't believe you. I think you just wanted to bang 2 girls and go home with one, though the one you like the most. And that's literally what he said to them. He was like, I just want to figure out who I like the most. And she was like, the most? Like, you can't measure love. Like, you're not just
But see, on this show you can, because you're literally dating a bunch of people at the same time. So obviously,
I guess that's true. I guess you can.
And then like, you know, it's all circumstantial too. They're all like put into these situations of like romantic candlelit dinner in the forest or something weird like that. Like they always do like those dates and stuff like that. So obviously they're going to get close, and obviously this one guy is going to have probably, like I said, statistically minimum like 2 or 3 meaningful connections at the end of the day. That all could have panned out depending on where he like if they lived in a city, you know, and like you know what I'm saying? Like statistically it makes sense, you know.
I get what you're saying, because I feel like you're onto something, because like that's like real life, and that's that meta place where you're in the show and you're kind of not in the show. The show is trying to sell you the fact that you cannot measure love. Every single type of love is different. The love you have with this person is different. The love you have with that person is different. But that's still a type of measurement. Like it still is. So I kind of see your point. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Also, like the other thing that's weird about the show, that like even though it presents itself as this like prim and kind of like proper Christian show, is like at the end of the day, this one guy is dating like 20 people at the same time. Like he gets to like hang out with them, go on dates with them, at the very least like make out with them, I guess. And that is very atypical in terms of like real life, you know? And so like, yeah, of course,
at least for us.
Yeah, I like of course like he's gonna like form meaningful connections and have like, I don't know, like a ranking system in his brain, or like, yeah, I love this person, but I love this person a bit more, blah, 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 blah. Like, of course that's going to happen.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense. But you know what? It must just be the way he said it. The way he said it, because it's like you just broke up with these girls, and then you brought them back just to break up with them again.
Guys are stupid. Guys are stupid at the end of the day.
100%. Men are trash.
My general all men are trash thing is that like, yeah, guys just some guys don't have filters like that. They don't know how to like, you know.
I know. And the thing is like they try to say that they're just being honest, right? But if you're being honest without kindness, that's really just cruelty, in my opinion.
Right,
There's got to be some level of kindness.
See, that's the thing. And then, not to bring it back to Shake again, but like he was being way too cruel. There was a part of me that thought that the producers were making him say that stuff to go back to the conspiracy stuff, but I think he was. No, I think that's actually him.
Good at it, apparently.
Yeah. Apparently, people on the show told us that he said things a lot worse that didn't make it on the air. That says a lot about you. And the producers were like, "No, we can't go this far."
Yeah, because like. One of my friends actually met him at Sundar, and I saw that he followed her on Instagram, and I asked her, I was like, hey, so what was he like in real life? And she was like, hey, he was actually a nice guy. Maybe in the context of a music festival, like, sure, they were friendly or whatever, but like, damn, it's mind-boggling that his brain was wired like that, you know, like to say all those things. It's surprising he got that far, but also maybe that's why he was casted. Maybe they're like, ooh, there's something here.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking? He did go to your concert, and if that's the first time he had a white girl on his shoulders, you might have been the reason that he brought this up.
Oh no.
That might have been your fault.
All your fault.
Music.
Oh man. That's
your music makes these guys want to put girls on their shoulders.
Oh my God.
That's what he wants.
Yeah, this Bachelor season seems crazy. I'd like the whole match.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the Bachelor.
Yeah,
Yes. Speaking of putting people on your shoulders, the shoulder that Clayton has to burden on his shoulder.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my
is
god.
now he has to talk to these women and explain to them and their families like what he did and why he did it.
Yeah.
So he goes and he does this, right? And then and then here's where it gets wild. Then the producer said like, "Oh, so I guess you're single now because nobody wanted to date you and you left the show with nobody." He goes, "I did leave the show with nobody, but he's not single."
What?
Wow.
There's a fourth girl?
Wait, he or she? You said he.
He. So Clayton is not single.
The
so
Bachelor.
even though the Bachelor,
Okay.
even though the 3 girls decided not to marry him and 2 of them that he let go,
Yeah.
he's not single. He's with somebody. And there he was like, yes, somebody from the show reached out to him.
Oh.
So after the show aired
Yeah.
and they knew that he didn't end up with anybody, one of the girls on the show reached out to him.
Yeah.
And now he's with this girl and they were going to do a big reveal about who this girl is.
Whoa.
Yeah. And guess who it turned out to be?
Uh,
It turned out to be Susie. The girl that said no to his proposal, the one he wanted the whole time, the one he didn't get to sleep with.
What kind of bullshit is this?
Like,
Wow.
where did that come from?
What?
so wait, so let me get this straight. She was his number 1 pick.
Yes.
She was his number 1, but he slept with 2 girls already, so
Yeah.
she decided to leave.
But he
Yes.
didn't sleep with her.
Yes.
He did not sleep with her.
Interesting.
Because
Because
we were
and
talking
I mean,
about
he
last week,
would've.
like who's more
Yeah.
insulted, the 2 girls
Yeah.
slept with, or the 3rd
Well, no,
one
he-
he didn't sleep with?
Yeah.
he would have slept with her if she let him. She said that she was
Yeah.
not okay going forward with the relationship if he had already slept with 2 women.
Oh.
And he was- yeah.
So even though
And
she
he-
was his first choice, he just hadn't gotten the chance to yet.
Yes,
Yeah.
he didn't get a chance to
Oh,
yet
okay.
because he wanted to get the 2 other ones out of the way first.
So
I don't know.
interesting. And then, here's a question: because in Love Is Blind, what I thought was interesting is that the guys and the girls got to all like discuss with each other, which I wasn't sure if I liked that because I feel like that kind of like interrupted their journey. Like, because you could reveal so much. You had the whole thing about Shayna being upset that Shane was talking to Natalie.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been better if they didn't talk and maybe it was revealed later on or something like that. So with The Bachelor, I'm assuming that those 2 girls that he slept with like didn't say anything to the 3rd girl.
No, so this is what happens. Once they have their
Didn't
date,
meet you.
they go back. They all 3 of the girls meet together in a room and discuss their date.
Okay, they
And
do
then
do
this
that.
one, they do that.
Yeah.
And they but they don't say whether they had sex or not.
Right.
But like it's implied sometimes because the girl was like, "Oh, your hair seems a little."
Oh, it's
messy."
like
She
stuff
goes,
like that.
Yeah, like
That's
something
so
like that, right?
weird. This is so weird. Like I man, I want to see like an anthropological study on reality shows because this is so just
50
like,
years from now, that's what's gonna happen.
because it's like manufactured, semi-real, semi-fictional, and like it's so interesting to me, you know.
And humans, for some reason, loved
They
this
really
shit, and they
eat the shit up.
consumed it.
Like the grip that it has on society is pretty interesting to
It's
me.
crazy. It's water cooler talk. Like people
Yeah.
talk about it the next
or,
day
or podcast talk.
or podcast talk. Yeah.
You know?
Our whole podcast is based on this premise.
Yeah.
I know it's wild, but I can't believe that this motherfucker gets to sleep with these 2 girls, break up with them twice, and then gets the girl he wanted the whole time.
Right.
Like it's like you know that meme like he can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah,
Like that's what I feel.
Life is not fair. Life is not fair.
What's funny though about Bachelor is that the lore runs just as deep as MCU because it's been around for so
Yeah.
long.
Yes.
And like there's crossover seasons, like someone who lost maybe goes on the Bachelorette and vice versa, and they're all like friends with each other. Like there's
Yes.
it has an MCU vibe to it. I see why people are
I'm
like
going
drawn
to start.
it.
I'm going to start calling it the Bachelor Cinematic Universe.
Yeah,
That's
it's
going to be the
a-
new name.
It's a real thing. You got
Would it be
spin-offs
cinematic
and-
or
I don't know.
televistic universe? I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
Telematic.
It's the BCU.
It's the BCU. Right. That's too funny.
But here's the thing, man. If Clayton was not white and he did this, I bet you he would get so much more backlash.
Oh,
Like this
100%.
world is, being a white man is living on easy mode because like he gets to do this to these 2 women, and then he gets to get the girl that he wanted all along,
Cheat
and now he's in
codes.
People magazine. He's in People magazine today
Oh,
with
shit.
him and his girl.
Cheat codes, man. I swear
Wow.
to God.
Yo, it must be nice. Well, it is what it is. Clayton he got the girl, and now what happened is they announced the next two bachelors. So they were going to announce like, oh, who should get it? Because Gabby was heartbroken and she stood up for herself. Rachel was heartbroken. She didn't stand up for herself too much, but she was like extra heartbroken because she was still asking him to choose her at the very end. So they're like, who are we going to pick as the next bachelorette off of these two girls? And then the big surprise was they picked both. So next season is going to be exciting because we're going to have two bachelorettes at the same time. So 30 men are going to be competing for two girls, and it might be weird because they might switch back and forth, or they might like both. It's going to be weird.
Didn't they do this last year, or am I mistaken?
No, they didn't do it last year, but they did a show similar to it called Joe Millionaire. And I don't know if you heard of it, but there were two men who were dating these girls. One was a millionaire, the other one wasn't, and they had to decide who they liked more, and they did not get to know who was the millionaire.
That's not what I'm thinking of. Sorry. What happened last year was the girl left because she liked one of the guys the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
So they had to find a mid-season replacement, right?
Yeah.
See, I feel that's the kind of thing that I feel like is like the MCU almost, where like, well, like these things that are never happening before, like now we get, someone leaves halfway through and is replaced. It's like the new Captain America, or like, and then like getting two bachelorettes in one season is like when they do those like we got Doctor Strange, but Scarlet Witch is like an equal character in his movie. Like it's the same thing. It's like and they're from a previous season and all that stuff. So you got It's
so funny you said this because what's happening in Netflix right now. Netflix has a few reality shows: The Circle, Love Is Blind, and
Too Hot to Handle. Yeah, the girl from Too Hot to Handle was on.
So they're doing a spin-off on all of these three reality shows to make a new reality show. So it's kind of like freaking Endgame, where all the characters are coming together.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like I said, man, this is all masterminded to really get people sucked to. Maybe it's just for that subscription service, man. Like I'm paying for Disney Plus just because like I didn't even like Hawkeye that much, and I'm here like I didn't even like Boba Fett, and I'm like, dude, I'll watch anything Star Wars at the end of the day.
Here's the thing, right? I feel like slowly, more and more brown people are becoming on reality shows, and just like some of these other shows, a reality show might be the first time a lot of these people see a brown person, might be the first time they see a Muslim. And if we don't have the best representation or someone to call out that representation, we're going to fall prey to that stereotype, which is very interesting right now because we had a Indian person on The Bachelor, I think Bachelorette last season named, I think his name was Pradeep. And he actually sent us some tweets saying he wants to be on the next season of The Bachelorette because he had a crush on Gabby. So we might see back, which would be very, very interesting.
He was on what? He was on what show?
He was on Michelle's season.
He wants to come back to The Bachelorette.
Yeah. Oh, and he got So
does that happen?
That's happened before. They've had people. They brought back
because I know.
So that would be. Really
I know
cool.
they go from contestant to the main person that is now wanted, but I didn't know if contestants come back to also become contestants again.
Every now and then they come back, and he's a good-looking Indian guy. He's a neuroscientist. He's he's got it all, man.
Nice.
And if he can make it work, that would be awesome. And I would love to see that representation. I want to see him back.
Right.
So that would be really cool. But I feel like they're a little bit of a catch-22, these reality shows. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like the Shake thing, like it would have been fine if we already had good representation. Like even Hari Kondabolu had a good point about Apu, that like Apu would have been fine if we had a balance of already really good representation out there. Because obviously like you can have a wide spectrum of different characters and stereotypes and whatever. And the show is a show that stereotypes all races, Italian people, black people, all that stuff, white people. But it came at a time when there wasn't good representation for brown people. So even with Shake, it's like, we still aren't there yet. Like this is still a lot of people's initial exposure.
Apu and Shake.
Yeah,
like my life.
For like a mainstream like person, then so now a lot of people will just unfortunately be like, oh, brown people, they're just like Shake, and that's not what you want.
And the thing is, like, it's bad when the brown people are the perpetrators of like abuse, like the way Shake was and talking about Deep Deep. But it's also bad when brown people are the victims of this, because it always shows women as these people who need to be saved by white people from brown men, and it always shows these brown men as being these awful people. And it's a shame that that's the storyline that they went with,
Right.
Because that's something that we fight all the time. And when I went to this film festival last week, they're saying there's a difference between good representation and responsible representation, right? We don't have to be the perfect brown person. We don't have to be the perfect Muslim. We can have flaws, but we can't do things that are irresponsible, like perpetuating these negative stereotypes.
Right.
So that's the difference between the two. And we've seen it in Hollywood, and now we're starting to see it in reality shows. And honestly, that's why I like to talk about it, because every now and then we're going to see more and more brown people on there, and there's got to be somebody who looks like them to talk about it.
So who would be a responsible representation of a brown guy? Like, give me an example.
In a reality show?
Anywhere, like on TV, because right now I cannot think of one, and I'm.
Oh man, Rahul Kohli's Midnight Mass. He plays.
Oh, that was good actually. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays a retired police officer who retired from the police NYPD because of all the racism to come to a small town, and he's like the best character in that town. Like, great representation.
That's true.
So, you know, there are.
Oh, I also get
like
Squid Games. Duh, I'm being stupid.
Yeah. So there's some good stuff out there, but for right now, this is what we have for reality TV shows, and there's got to be some voices of color, because all these podcasts are mostly either all white people or they're sponsored by The Bachelor. So even the people of color cannot speak out against the show because they're being paid by the show. So that's why I'm out here talking mad shit about them.
Right.
Anyways, that's all we got for our Bachelor episode. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Sajib, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Great having you on here. I love going on the Bachelor tangents when talking about the MCU and talking about Bachelor. And it's been great, man. And like, again, man, honestly, we can't wait to meet you up in real life and go to some more of your concerts. And do you have anything coming up where like people can find you?
Yeah, well,
tours?
I'm playing in New York at the end of the year, well, in August, for this festival called Let's Get Free. It's like a Black, Brown, Asian like kind of festival. We got Priya Raghu, Ravina, Anik Khan,
Anik Khan. I love Anik Khan.
Weston Estate, like probably the most brown people I've ever seen on a lineup. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. It's a Sunday in August.
What's it called?
Let's Get Free, and it's like fr.ee, I think.
Oh. Speaking of Let's Get Free, let's get free tickets too.
No, honestly, like anytime you guys want to come to a show, we got you. I'm also doing Red Rocks this summer in Denver, which I'm really stoked about on June 8th. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, just doing some dates here and there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I am down.
Really
I am a
good lineup.
Yeah.
Yo, Jazz, you want to fly up here? Let's do it.
I will fly up for this. This is really cool.
Yeah.
And then burgers are on me later that day.
Amazing. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Awesome. All right, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to see you. And this was so much fun, man. I love it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And until next time, guys, Salaam nerds. Peace out.
Dope.